My name is Kenneth Deer. I'm a Mohawk. I'm representing the Haudenosaunee External Relations Committee here. The Haudenosaunee is made up of the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and Tuscarora, and we're on both sides of the border, both in Canada and the United States.
So here you're representing the indigenous people. I mean, together with other indigenous from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Before during the press conference, you were saying that the new draft doesn't satisfy you. Why?
All right. What we were looking for, and what some of the original draft was protecting the rights of indigenous peoples in the operative paragraph. So it said, protecting the human rights and including the rights of indigenous peoples, and that was very important to us because that was then becomes in the operative paragraph. So that anything to do with climate change, anything to do in the whole document, the rights of indigenous people have to be protected. So they took that part out and they kept the rights of indigenous peoples in the preamble, in both preambles. But at the same time, it puts it in a separate paragraph from human rights. So we get the impression that they don't consider the rights of indigenous peoples as human rights, and of course we're humans, and our rights are human rights. So we're really concerned about that. So that's not acceptable. What the problem what we fear is that because indigenous people have been abused for centuries with colonization, the states just took our land, our natural resources, and put us on reserves, and then there was the globalization, which also then where corporations were just extracting resources right from underneath our feet. We feel that the new COP21 might be the new colonization, the new globalization, where they will be abusing our rights to protect Mother Earth at our expense and not theirs. They will make us the victims of COP21.
You say indigenous people are the front line fighting climate change. Why so?
Well, because indigenous people have been warning the world for decades that the world is changing, that the climate is changing, that things are not the way they used to be. So now and because indigenous people are very live close to the land, they live off the land. So whether you live at the equator or you live on the Arctic ice, our people see the changes immediately, and we have been seeing it for a long time. So that's why when we say we're on the front lines, that's what we mean. And look at the islands in the Pacific. Those are indigenous peoples living there. And those islands might not exist in another 20 years, 30 years, and those are indigenous peoples who will who have to migrate away from those islands, and where would they go?
During the press conference, we heard from you and from your colleagues that Europe is not doing enough to support indigenous people right inside the text. Can you send Europe a message?
Well, there are some countries that are very supportive of indigenous rights within the EU. People like Denmark and Belgium have come forward, and Sweden. But there are some countries, in particular France, who have a difficulty with the concept of indigenous people's collective rights, and because this concept that human rights are only individual rights is a Western European concept, and those who come from other places, well, we see rights differently, and we believe that as indigenous peoples we have collective rights, and we need those collective rights in order to survive.
Can I continue? He's from the Mohawk.